Charity, the Nuffield Trust, also shows emergency admissions for alcohol-related problems up by 50% in a 9-year period. Well, around an hour ago, I spoke to Richie Bosworth. He's a brewer. He's based in the Fargo Village area of Coventry. He told me that he'd actually welcome a minimum price on alcohol and feels that the main problem lies with the inconsistent price of booze.
I was in a national supermarket at the weekend and there was, one of the most well-known lagers in the country available. There was 8.8 litres of it for £10, and
wow,
that's just incredibly irresponsible sale of alcohol, really, at the end of the day. I was kind of doing the maths and I thought, well, the cheapest place you could buy a bottle of ours is our tap house, and the equivalent would cost you £67.
Wow.
So
that much difference?
Yeah, it's just a massive discrepancy, and really I think that is the true heart of the issue, that people can obtain alcohol so cheaply.
Well, joining me in the studio this evening is Carl Newton. He's a recovering alcoholic and he's from Rugby. Hi, Carl.
Good afternoon, Phil.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well. Yourself?
Very good indeed. I should point out straight away that Carl and I know each other. Carl used to come out drinking in some of the bars I used to work in. And,
I suspect you probably have more of a memory of those sort of activities than I did at the time.
Well, take me back to that, because we were talking about, a time maybe 18 months, 12 months ago.
Yeah.
Tell me about some of the problems you faced with alcohol yourself.
Well, it had always been a battle with myself, even from sort of teenage years. But the more I became an adult and got better jobs, the more it was enabled, sort of thing. And I was at the point of drinking daily. And it was anywhere between 8 and 12 sorts of pints of lager a day, followed with chasers and stuff. And the weekend, the times you'd have seen me on like a Friday or a Saturday night, it'd be chasers all throughout the day and just being silly and wild. Yeah.
Then go out at night.
And then you get caught at the bar with a silly idea of a promotion and a shot at a cheap price or a bomb of some sort, and you think, oh, okay, that'll be good, and before you know it, you time travel to the very next morning.
All right.
With very little memory of anything in between.
And was that, how common was that? That's every weekend?
It used to be, yeah, every Friday night I'd come and follow your Friday nights religiously because I was fairly successful, and then, it'd be every weekend. Saturday, wake up and just get back on and drink and carry on.
And how would that affect you in terms of work, your life, your
work? There'd often be jobs I was going into half cut or hungover. Relationships, not many girlfriends stuck around, to be quite honest, and there was a lot of arguments and stuff like that. And yeah, there was just no self-pride in myself, no self-care. I'd just let everything go. All I was concentrating on was sleeping, getting up, drinking, going back to sleep.
And getting to the next fix of booze.
Yeah, basically.
Right. And give me some idea what that was like to be in your head, Carl, that your, if it's not too, harsh a point to put on it, obsession is to get to the next drink, to feel that buzz, to feel that
hype. And you become sort of selfish as well. You become very, very selfish, you get invited places and you think, oh, if I go there, am I going to be allowed to drink? Oh, no, it's a family occasion, okay, so maybe I'm not that bothered about it. I'd rather go down the pub with the mates or whatever, or have a drink, or I'll have a drink there on the way and go in half cut, and you become very selfish and very obsessed and self-absorbed.
So at some point, something goes off in your head. What happens? Somebody speaks to you. You made a decision to go, I've got to do something about this.
Some people have an immediate rock bottom where something might happen emotionally or medically that might cause them into shock of right, I need help now. But for me, it gradually happened over the space of a few months. Kind of lost a relationship, lost a job, kind of started concluding, okay, things aren't really great. I'm sat here, I'm 30. I need to sort this out, really, to be quite honest. I need to do something about it. And it took 3 or 4 attempts and then lapses and relapses before I eventually got to where I am now, which is 43 weeks sober.
So 43 weeks?
Yeah.
Okay. You've not, been tempted during that period?
Of course I've been tempted, still tempted on a daily basis. Right. And one thing I have, which is horrible, is you have dreams that are so vivid. Sort of using dreams, we call them, where you kind of like, I had one last night. I was in a bar and I was drunk and I woke up and it was that vivid. I was convinced that I'd actually gone back onto it, yeah. Wow. And actually had a slight little panic attack at the thought of it. It's quite weird, and that happens about 5 nights out of 7 at the moment, and that can be hard. And obviously being in situations, and Christmas now as well, can be very, very hard.
And what's the most noticeable change you've had in those 43 dry weeks? I had a friend of mine who's unfortunately died of as an alcoholic, and he
And it
died
also
in his
often happens,
50s,
sadly.
yeah. And he used to tell me that, you know, for years before he'd lost sense of taste in his tongue, he could only eat really, really hot curries. They're the only things he could really taste. Have you noticed sort of changes?
I've noticed
about
a
that?
few very strange things. Yeah, I've developed a liking for herbal tea.
Have you?
Yeah,
Alright.
and I've also developed a hell of a sweet stuff. I had a sweet stuff anyway,
Right.
but it's just got terrible now. I've swapped cans of lager for 5 custard donuts, and I get sweaty. I get sweaty if I can't get to Tesco's and get my donuts.
So that's become your new fix.
Yeah,
All right.
it's done my diet no good, but
One at a time there on that. We've been hearing today doctors calling for this minimum price per unit of alcohol. Where do you stand on it?
okay, it's something that was I think it was debated about in the run up to the election last year, and it never really came to anything. I've actually set up a petition online for it as well at one point. I think an official government petition, and I mean when you read this and hear the stats, they're just harrowing, and I'm fully in support of it. I mean I've got on top of the stats that you alluded to earlier. I think the headline today was that alcohol was responsible for the alcohol poisoning had doubled in the last 6 years. I've also got that alcohol is responsible for up to 70% of all A&E admissions. That 3 in 4 people in A&E at a weekend is alcohol related, and that 51.1% of A&E admissions are on a Friday, Saturday, and a Sunday.
So
as a result,
you can see what
So yeah, there's
what a
definitely the
difference
need
alcohol
for it.
makes. How would that have affected you? You know, if a minimum price of alcohol had been set that had priced alcohol at such a level, you couldn't have, you know, afforded to spend as
To
much
be honest,
on
I
alcohol.
think I've been thinking about this on the way over here this afternoon, and I think it's very much the same as sort of somebody addicted to heroin or cocaine or an expensive drug would allude to. I don't think if you're that determined to drink or to use, I don't think pricing is necessarily going to stop you. It might encourage you to do something criminal or likewise, or borrow money you haven't got, which I think I did for years, loads of payday loans, all that sort of thing to fund it. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that if you're addicted and you're not in recovery and you're not focusing on getting over that, then you're going to find a way if you want to, sort of thing.
And very quickly, Carl, because I'm going to break for some travel news in a second. You are going into your first dry Christmas for how long in life?
15 years.
All right.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Anxious, but I've got a lot of good peer support and friends and stuff, so I'm working on being strong, and I'm looking forward to it, and
You're going to be in an environment where Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, you're going to be surrounded by it, friends, family.
Yeah, well, I'm
ready to
fortunate
see
enough to
yourself for
have... Yeah, I'm fortunate enough to have some young nieces and nephews, so I think I'm going to concentrate on being silly Uncle Carl and all that side of it, rather than adult Uncle Carl who enjoys the festive tipple.
That's a good way of looking at it. Carl, wish you the very best of luck.
Yeah, and a Merry Christmas to you and all your listeners as well.
Thanks, mate, and good work on 43 weeks. Keep it going.
Thank you very much.
Carl Newton, recovering alcoholic from Rugby then. What do you make of what he's had to say? Do you share that experience? Have you come close to being like Carl yourself? Maybe you got your own story. Let me know this afternoon, please. 0345 900 5200 on BBC Coventry and Warwickshire today. And that idea of a minimum unit price for alcohol, would it help you cut down on your intake, especially at this time of year?